Have you ever had your plans fall apart so badly you thought the entire trip was ruined? That was me last weekend until God turned it into one of the best adventures of my life. Stick around because today I'm sharing how setbacks can actually open the door to joy, spontaneity, and fresh faith. Hi, friends. Welcome to Taking Back Happy. I'm your host, Gina Granville. God's girl, retired homeschool mom of four, empty nester, Gigi, essential oil and exercise enthusiast, Christian life coach, and someone who's taken back her own happy. I know many of you feel exactly like me in these midlife years, a sort of loss of direction, but way too young and vibrant to sit on the porch and just watch life go by. What if you could reimagine your life, finding deep joy, renewed passion and purpose, and plenty of adventure in these midlife years? If you're ready to rediscover God's joy and purpose in this season of life, throw on those walking shoes, pop in those earbuds, and join me right here as we take back happy together. Hey, my Taking Back Happy friends. Let me tell you how this all went down. So my friend Eric and I were traveling, and the first night we were on the road, she had this really cute little Airbnb. It was from probably the 1800s, just as cute as could be. And so we stayed there at Cuyahoga State Park. And then the next two nights, I had reserved a house through Verbo, and we were just really eager to get there. We'd already been up that morning. We'd been hiking. We went out and we had a late lunch at this really beautiful place. But we were so tired and we couldn't wait to get to the little place we were staying. We were going to take a quick cat nap and then be on our way for more hiking. We already had a whole plan laid out. We had talked to the ranger. We were raring to go. So we get to the place and I walk around to the door because it was in the back. So we walk to the door and the door has a lock on it. It's got kind of like a padlock lock on it. And so I put the little code in there and nothing happened. So I ended up texting them because I had a message from them and stuff. And I said, hey, we can't get in this door. And they said, oh, are you sure you're at the right door? So I went back. I looked on the email. I looked at all the directions. I walked around. I was like, yep, I'm at the right door. I did everything they said to do. And so I went back and I said, yep, we're at the right door. I can't get this lock to open. And so we were like, okay, what the heck? This can't be real life. So we kept going back and forth, texting them. And they would try this code instead. And we're like, really? So finally I said, let me just call them. So I went ahead and called them. When I called them, nothing went through. It said this number was not somehow, some kind of message, this number was not reachable or whatever. So we're like, this doesn't look good. This looks really bad. But I knew it was going to be okay because it was through Verbo and that's a reputable site and all that stuff. So we went back and forth. And finally I said, look, we've been waiting out here. I think it was 30 minutes at that time. I said, we've been waiting out here 30 minutes. We can't get in. Can you just send someone here? I tried to call you. I can't get through. And at the same time, I started going online. I was trying to talk to the people at Verbo and just talk to them directly. And so the person said, yes, can I call you? And I'm like, absolutely. So she called us and we had a little bit of a language barrier, but we were good. We worked through that. She's like, okay, let me talk to my boss. And so I was like, are you kidding me? So she hung up the phone and we still kept trying. And I'm putting all this into the guy that was helping me online. And I was like, hey, we did this. He could go in and actually look at our chat and see what had been said. Anyway, this went on and on and on. And I'm talking 90 minutes later. We're still sitting outside. We're on this step. We have our suitcases. We cannot access this place. And this gal calls me and she's like, hey, I am the girl that cleans this place. And I saw lots of messages going back and forth and I think I can get you in. I was like, awesome. She's like, can I FaceTime you? I was like, sure. So on the door, we had this little padlock, and then above it was like a gray pad, like where you scan a card or something like that. So I went up and I FaceTime her. I started putting the code into the lock and everything because she told me what the code was. And she's like, "Oh, no, no, not that lock." She's like, "The one above it." And I was like, "This thing up here where you scan the card?" And she's like, "No, if you push on it, it'll light up and you'll see numbers." So I did that. I pushed on it, I lit up, and voila, I could put the code in and the door opened. And I couldn't believe it. We were so aggravated because it'd been like 90 minutes, We're like, seriously, like we just wasted so much time. That was going to be our nap time. And then we were on for the rest of our adventures. So we walked in the kitchen and there's like 3 boxes sitting on the floor in there. I don't know if it was trash. I don't know if it was stuff that people hadn't gotten out of there or what, but we're like, no, that's it. I'm not staying here. This was enough. I've dealt with this long enough. This has been ridiculous. I had talked to the lady on the phone twice. They've given us like 10 different codes. I've been talking to the person online. And even though we were in, I was like, I am not staying here. This place is not even ready. So we packed up our stuff and we went back and loaded everything into the car and we pulled out into the driveway and getting ready to go. And then my friend Erica said, maybe we should decide where we're going to go first before we pull out. I'm like, yeah, good plan. Let's do that. So we were sitting in the driveway trying to decide, where to go next. I started to look up places on my phone. And then we remembered something that the lady at the bed and breakfast had said. And she had told us that there have been all these really cool places that were pretty close to where we were, like, within 3 to 4 hours. And we're like, we could just go north and go right up to Niagara Falls and just check that out. I mean, we're not tied into this place to stay anymore. We can just go and, on spur of the moment and just go for it. And, that is exactly what we did. What I thought was a setback actually turned into one of the best adventures. And it really taught me 3 different things that I really want to share with you today. The first thing is a mindset reset. So literally turning lemons into lemonade. When we were out there trying to get in and trying to open that lockbox and couldn't do it all that time and all those different codes and all that drama, we were getting more aggravated and more aggravated. And I remember my friend Erica said, "You know what? I believe God's going to take this and he's going to just turn these lemons into lemonade." And we both just kind of giggled and laughed and thought that was really funny. But it's so true. And that's exactly what happened. At first we had all that frustration. We had like, okay, what are we going to do? Here goes our time. We're wasting this time we have to do these things. And then the next thing you know, we're like, ooh, okay, there's adventure on the horizon. In Romans 8:28, it says, God works all things together for our good. And I love that. And then also just when we're having that mindset reset, we get to decide. We get to decide whether we're going to be depressed or we're going to be upset or we're going to go ahead and stay there, even though there's some boxes in there and it took us 90 minutes to get in. I mean, at least it's a place to stay, right? Wrong. We get to decide. That was what made it really exciting. We just literally got on the road and started driving north before I even put an address in, before I even looked up a hotel to stay in, anything like that. So that's one thing that's so amazing about a mindset reset. It's like we get to decide. We have the power to reframe our situation. We can, take it for what it is and, feel all bad about it, or we can, just turn it around and, okay, this was annoying. This did waste time, but now there's new things on the horizon. Just think about that in your own life. Where in your life do you need to look at the same situation with brand new, fresh eyes? Which brings me to my second lesson we learned, and that is adventure awakens the soul. It awakens life. And I just love spontaneity and I love adventure. I feel like that they're just really life-giving, especially in midlife when sometimes things can feel really predictable and routine. We put Niagara Falls into the GPS and the whole way up there, we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're doing this. I can't believe we just like changed our entire vacation on the spur of the moment. And we kind of like giggled and laughed and got excited. And we're like, wonder if we'll get there before it gets dark. Wonder if we'll be able to see sunset. And like just the anticipation just kind of built and built as we were driving there. And the cool thing was we did get there. We didn't get there in time for the sunset, but we did get there. And we got there. We went directly to Niagara Falls and it was all lit up and it was absolutely beautiful. I was so thankful that we got there at night and got to see all that. We shouldn't be surprised that God turns lemons into lemonade because in John 10:10 he says, Jesus came to give us life and give it to us abundantly. And so he's not just giving us a boring life, which we would be thankful for a boring life, right? But he's giving us an abundant life. And an abundant life to me is something that includes like adventure and spontaneity and all the fun things. So I want to encourage you, my Taking Back Happy friends. I want you to say yes to something new this week. I want you to try something you haven't done. I want you to be spontaneous, even if it's a tiny thing, trying a different kind of coffee than you normally drink, taking a different route when you're driving, to work or wherever you're going, or planning a spontaneous day trip. Yeah. And if you're doing that, call me because I'm all in. And our third lesson is faith takes the first step. So we had to literally step out even without a clear plan. And once we did that, we were like, the sky was the limit. We got more and more excited and we're like, we could do this or we could do that. Or yeah, let's go all the way to Niagara Falls. And it's so cool when you step out in faith and you try something new because God will meet you there in surprising ways. That night when we first got there, we looked at the falls on the American side of the falls. They were so pretty. They were lit up. We ended up walking down and across this bridge and we went out onto this island and walked all the way down. So we were really close to the Horseshoe Falls. We could see it kind of from the side and it was kind of cool. And then that night they did fireworks. I mean, it's a really short little fireworks, but it was just so sweet. But the next day, we decided we were going to see if we could go on the Canadian side. We didn't have our passports with us, and they said you either had to have your passport or you had to have an enhanced license. So we have those little stars on our license, and we're like, well, that must be the enhanced license. So the next day when we got there, the first thing we did, I said, okay, let's walk over to the Canadian side. So we walked through this gate and it's like, it's got all this wire on top and all this stuff. And we're like, yikes. But we walked across the bridge between America and Canada and we got over there and we waited in line to go in the door on the Canadian side. When we got in there, the officer called us up and, he had us I had sunglasses on. He had me take my sunglasses off. He looked at our licenses and he said, this is not an enhanced license. And we said, oh, it's not? We thought it was because it has the star on it. And he's like, no, it's not. And then he asked us what states we were from, what states we were born in. My friend Erica said Ohio and I said Indiana. And he said, oh, that won't work because if you were in a state that borders Canada, then you could get in. Or if you had this enhanced license. And so we were like, oh, we were feeling really, really sad about that. And then he said, but, I know you're American citizens because you have this license with a star. So I'm going to let you go ahead and go in. We were so thrilled. We just felt like it was totally, again, God making lemonade out of lemons. He was just opening that door for us and blessing us one more time. The whole time we were on the Canadian side, we were just like in awe. We were in awe of God's creation and the beauty. We were in awe of like just the sound of the falls and the power of it. And it was just, we were so grateful for the opportunity to be there and to see that and to be together and to take pictures and just relax and enjoy and have fun, walk through the mist. The mist would blow off of the falls and it would be coming down on us like raindrops. It was just the most amazing experience. All through the Bible, we have so many examples of how people had to step out in faith first, and then God just, blew them away with whatever happened next. But it always took us stepping out first, or most of the examples in the Bible are people stepping out in faith first. So I just want to remind you that sometimes God is waiting for us to move before he shows us the next door. So when you're thinking about that and you're praying about that and you're waiting like for a door to open or you're waiting for something to happen, take that first step. If you're going in the wrong direction, it's okay. You're going to be like, you can turn around, you can make a U-turn. I feel like the Lord will really show you if you're not going in the right direction. So take that step of faith and see what happens. And that, my Taking Back Happy friends, is how God took what looked like a ruined adventure and turned it into a story of joy and adventure and faith and spontaneity and all the things. Remember, when life throws you a curveball, you don't have to sit there in defeat. You can reset your mindset, you can embrace the next adventure, and you can take that first step out in faith, because that's often where God meets us, with that joy and with that purpose that we're searching for. So until next time, my Taking Back Happy friends, let's keep trusting God to make lemonade out of lemons. You got this, my friend. I believe in you. If this podcast blessed and encouraged you today, I'd love for you to share it with your friends. You can take a screenshot and share it in your stories, but make sure you tag me at Gina Granville so we can connect. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you join my Taking Back Happy Facebook group. I'll meet you back here soon, and we'll continue taking back happy together.